Today on DIY Gaming, we take a model and we make a model with the model. Lots of models begetting models. No, let's not say that. Welcome to DIY Gaming, your source for tips and walkthroughs for making your own prototype and playtesting components. I'm your host, Brian Beach, and today is part one of a two-part series, if you will, on casting plastic resin or making plastic models. For that particular part, which is the most exciting part, where we actually pour the silicone molds and make the plastic pieces, you'll need to check out part two, right there. But for this video, which may be the more important of the two, but also the boring part, we're going to be going over the materials that you need, the models that qualify for this particular method and how I obtained them. We're going to be going over some prep work, and at the end of the video, we're going to make the actual mold boxes that we begin with in part two. Let's boogie. All right, so the things you will need for this project. First thing you should go out and either buy or order from the Alumilite website or at a local craft store if they carry it is the Quick Set RTV silicone rubber kit. And this kit comes with lots of little goodies. You get a 14.5 ounce canister of the silicone base, as well as your 1.5 ounce of catalyst. It goes right there. And of course you'll get your instructions and your little cuppy cups and scoopy scoops and all that good stuff. I specifically recommend the Quick Set system. They have some other great ones as well that I've been a little less successful with. So for my money, this is the one I'm going for. Next thing you're going to want to pick up is Alumilite's RC-3 castic resonating bottles here. This comes with a part A casting part liquidy thing and a part B that you mix together. We will demonstrate that later. It also comes with the wonderful shot glasses that you can use for your casting goodness. Other things that you will want for the success of this project, we have various sizes of PVC couplers, a little Russian doll set there, and they're just different sizes that the models can fit inside that we will be molding. Alternatively, you can use foam core to craft those mold boxes, or even if it's small enough, you can go just pick up those, you know, those little paint stir sticks that are free if you go and look interested at paint. Those could make really nice, smaller molding boxes as well, but something that you can pour a mold into, and these are great. I also have the some clay and some soft clay that I use. This is not for sculpting the models, however you can get some sculpting clay for that. But this is a soft clay that I use to act as a seal around the outside of the mold box, regardless of what kind of molding box I use. Some other things that you will want to pick up, you're going to go through a ton of these little plastic cups, unless of course you're casting a larger model, then you might want to pick up the solo cups, the big red and blue plastic cups, as long as you promise me you don't mix that up with whatever it is you're drinking. And along with that, you'll need some stir sticks, a ton of these stir sticks. I don't care if they're multicolored like these that were just on sale. I didn't necessarily buy them because they were colorful, but I kind of like them. But you can also get the bland variety if you're boring. That's fine too. You'll want to have some other little knick-knack things around just for poking and prodding, like toothpicks or maybe those plastic, you know, coffee stir sticks. I also keep a razor blade on hand just in case as I start doing some crafty things. And you know those little scissors that you find in your wife's bathroom? I don't really know what they're for, but they're really cute little metal-y scissors that probably have something to do with hygiene. Well, sometimes I sneak those out and work on the molds on them and then sneak them back into. Though I'm sure that's fine and safe. You'll want to do this kind of project in a well-ventilated area, low dust if possible. I don't normally do this at my dinner table, but for the filming of this, that's what we're going to do. But these chemicals do have some harsh vapors to them, so you'll want to stay ventilated or on ventilation, or just keep it away from your kids and your pets, okay? A quick note about this project. The particular process we're using I came across on Dan Becker's blog many years ago, and have since just kind of utilized only that, and I've had a lot of success with it, which is why we're doing that. The instructions are almost straight out of the Alumilite little papers too, so that being said, this is not me being clever, just I've kind of pulled some things from lots of different places, put it together in this video, and I'll try my best to give credit where credit is due, and all those links to those people who deserve that credit will be in the description below. Before we get into all the models that we're using, you might ask yourself, why in the world did you drop your stuff? You may ask yourself, why in the world would I do a process like this? We have 3D printers, Brian. Well, in fact, we do have 3D printers, and I use a 3D printer for one of my models here. So why would I then later come and cast this into a resin and make the process even more complicated? Well, there's several reasons you may do this for prototyping, but to be honest with you, I usually just do this for fun. So reason A, you have a sculpt that you want to translate into a hard piece of plastic, be that a clay sculpt because you are Michelangelo, the master clay sculptor man or lady, Michelangelo, or like the one I used was a polystyrene. I used a couple polystyrene sculpts that I just did with the hacksaw and sandpaper that I later wanted to make into something hard plastic that will last forever. Speaking of polystyrene, I also carved a little rock standing stone thing that will be my replacement proxy in the scent for the summon stones, and just kind of same method for carving that. And then I took a pen and just made little etchings up in the stone itself, and hopefully this will come out right. I'm really hoping this one is going to look really nice. And speaking of descent, another one of the models that I'd hope to cast for this video is a proxy for the search tokens. This is a pile of bones. Got this idea from the DNG info right here on YouTube. I'm going to post a link to his channel or the video for this pile of bones. But I highly recommend this guy's channel for dungeoneering and just for some really good crafting ideas, some model making, that kind of thing. I really enjoyed his channel, and this here's a pile of bones. It's just a skeleton toy, kind of cut up and glued onto. This is a math counter, but any old disc would work. And we'll pour the mold over that and see what we make out of that. Well, that's one good reason, but we also have reason B, which is to make a ton of things look exactly the same. And that's important sometimes. We want that continuity. Continuity is very important. I went to a local 3D printer here and had them print an Eclipse Starbase, and I had to give credit where credit is due, and I'm compelled to in this particular case. This is a Starbase. I have it on the red here so you can see it a little bit better. A Starbase Model 3 from Thingiverse by Pum, I believe, P-U-M, and I'll post the link to where I got the STL file for this, and then just went and used a Formlab. Here, let's get closer because that's not really doing the trick there. I used a Formlab printer for this because I really wanted some smooth roundness to the top. There are some 3D printers out there that you'll see are still really great quality, but they leave some ridges and that kind of thing. But whenever you're throwing a mold over it, that mold is going to pick up all those ridges, all those grains, and so I wanted the best quality, even if it costs a little bit more, because I'm going to be making this a couple dozen times for my game. The particular thing about these models, the thing that makes them great for this video, is their geometry. These are all models that when I pour the single mold over the top, and that hardens, I'll be able to flip them over and pull these models out from, from the bottom without ripping the mold. There's no overhangs on any of these. There's no holes or gaps that the silicone will catch in when I'm pulling that model out. And so these are great for this kind of level 1 resin casting. If you were doing something a little bit more complicated, maybe you have a solid geometry that has an overhang, or maybe you have even a more complicated model with some holes this way that when you try to pull on it, it's going to tear the silicone, then I recommend you at least practice with this method we're doing here with some simpler geometry, and then maybe move on to a more complicated method. For example, what you might see on Adam Savage's YouTube channel when they cast a lightsaber hand hilt. In fact, I'll post a link to the video where they do that. They use more of a sandwich style mold system, and it's a little bit more complicated, but you can use all the same Alumilite products that we're using for this, except you also want to pick up their rubber silicone mold release agent as well, so that way the hard silicone doesn't bind with the liquid, that kind of thing. But anyway, very similar process, very same tools. I do recommend learning this one first. All right, we're finally getting to the tutorial part, which I'm really excited. We're going to make our molds, but first, before we make the molds, we need to make the mold boxes. And I've kind of moved some things around here. I got my monitor set up over here to the side so we can kind of see how that works. Good, we're all synced up, good deal. So we're going to use PVC tubes for our mold boxes, but if you want to use foam core like they do on Adam Savage channel, we're big fans of foam core here at Pub Meeple. You can rip them apart and not care, and that's great. We're pretty much gonna go by what we see in Dan Becker's tutorial though, and what they also recommend even in the Alumilite directions. And I have some different sized PVC pipes, different heights and diameters here that we're going to be using for our mold boxes, and I've already done some math to make sure I know how much volume I'm going to use in each one, and I have a little mark. I don't know if you can see. Yep, there you can see up there in the monitor, a little mark on the inside on how high I want that to go. That's based on providing an extra 1/4 inch height above each model. So I have these marked and ready to set up here. So what I'm going to do before I set those up, I want to make sure they all kind of fit where I want on my little glass. I have a little piece of tempered glass here. If you don't have a piece of glass like this, you can use a hand mirror that has glass over the front, and I used one of those for a long time before we took this off of a piece of furniture. I've even used the mirrors that come off the little bathroom cabinets that have the sliding door. I actually just took that sliding door off, and I used that for a while. The glass cleans easy, so you don't have to worry about messing the glass up. And so I have the glass here. I'm going to use take each of these models that we're going to put a mold box around there. All right, hang on. They're not all in frame. All right. Try to get those all in frame up there. And what we're going to end up doing is gluing them to the surface of the glass and then putting our boxes around them and then sealing the boxes. Okay, so step 1, gluing them to the glass here. The glue is not going to allow time to dry, and the glass won't really take anyway. This is going to act more as a seal around the model, and in fact the glue won't even dry on there. And just kind of put that down there, and can you see that up there in the monitor? Yeah, you can. Just kind of glue it right there on the bad boy, and we'll do our skeleton token here. A little bit easier than the fort there because it's got more of a base there I can mess with, and I'm just going to kind of squish it down. This particular process is not super duper critical. I'm curious how the polystyrene is going to react. I've never done a polystyrene cast before. This will be a first for that. And particularly this, ooh, I don't like that. So you'll see on the, I'm going to kind of turn this so you can see what I don't like. On the summon stone here, I usually don't mind if a little glue comes out the bottom, but so much glue came out the bottom of that it's kind of come up a bit, and of course when we pour that silicone over it, it's going to also mold around that glue, and I don't want the glue to be part of my sculpt. So I'm just going to pick that up. I got a paper towel here. I'll wipe that glue off of my glass. I don't even have to use the same spot on this glass. I can pick a new spot if I want, which I think I'm going to. I still have a little glue on the bottom of this that I'm not going to add more to. No point in repeating that. And I'm just going to kind of off-center off that spot that I had there. And just kind of put that guy down there. There. Okay, so I've got all those situated on the glass here. And now what we're going to do is put the appropriate PVC box around each one. And so I'll tell you what, I'm going to center this forward up in the monitor there so you can kind of get a bird's eye view of what's going on there. And I'll put this right over, and what I'm really trying to do is center that model right in the middle there. I know from this perspective here it doesn't look centered. You're just going to have to take my word for it as I kind of get my head over and just kind of center it there. And then I'm not going to glue this down. Instead, I bought this, or I have on hand this clay, molding clay, and it's really soft. It's not the kind that you get hard, that you have to really work. This stuff comes soft, almost like Play-Doh. And I'm going to use this to kind of seal the bottom around the outside. And I think this is also how Dan Becker does it in his tutorial. It's been a long time since I've looked at that tutorial. I can't remember, but I think that's also where this idea comes from. But you just kind of make a long, I kind of make a long snake out of this. Now, there's other ways to do this, I'm sure. You could probably glue this down the same way or come up with a different thing to put around the outside. You're not looking to make this a permanent fixture, which is the reason why I use clay. You're just looking to keep the box in place on the glass and keep the silicone liquid from moving around. So I'm just going to hold this in place, kind of push my little snake into the crack there. Can you see that? Let me get my fingers out of the way so you can see on the other camera. I'm just kind of pushing that around. If you're using foam core instead of the PVC here, you could use hot glue or something like that. It would work just as fine around the outside. For that matter, you could probably use hot glue on this as well. That should come off pretty easily off the glass. I think I'm in the habit of using the clay, which is why I'm doing it, but there's probably other things you can use to kind of put that in place. But you'll see just kind of in the monitor there how now the cup won't move there, and it's nice and sealed around the outside, so any of that liquid that goes down won't seep out around the bottom. Okay, so I have all 5 of my little mold boxes ready to go. The next step is to mix the silicone and pour it in, and then there's just a big long waiting step. So let me get set up for that, and I'll be right back.